Hello, good morning. I'm going to say good morning because it's morning for me. So, we have a heart opening practice today. So, this practice is good for when you kind of feel hunched over, kind of sunken in the chest. Could be from lots of time on the computer, time in the car, also just kind of the way that we can burn through our energy during the day and kind of feel depleted. And so you'll notice that I have a few props here. So I have these blocks on the mat. So this one is on the second setting. So that one's going to go under the head. And then this one is going to go under the chest. You'll notice it's on the first, the lowest kind of setting for the block. And then you'll also notice that I have a chair. So we'll use a chair as well. So go ahead and gather your props and then we will meet over here on the mat. And just make sure that you have lots of space around your mat so that you can kind of lay the arms in any position that's going to feel good. And also just a little note. So this sometimes is very comfortable. Even though we might be feeling like stretching sensations, we could say it feels helpful or good. And then there's some times where we come on and it just is aggravating. Right? It's irritating. It doesn't feel good. And if that's the case, you'll just move the blocks to the side, grab a rolled blanket or a folded blanket and lay on top of that instead. So I've experienced times in my life where this feels great. And then I've experienced times in my life where it just wasn't the right thing. So if that's true for you when you come in, just honor that, right? So when you come on, you can kind of lay the upper back on that block and then the head on the upper block, and you should be able to feel like you can just really give the weight of your head onto the block, so you're not having to hold the head at all, right? So sometimes we catch a corner of the block or the block feels tippy. Just see if you can kind of find the right place, and then notice how you can kind of wiggle around on the block and find just the right place so it's not digging into any bone or anything. So you can kind of wiggle around. You can pick up one shoulder and kind of shuffle it in a particular place. The feet could stay on the ground. I find this kind of a little bit of a friendlier position. You could bring soles of the feet together and knees apart. You could come into a cross-legged position here too. And also you can have the legs long. So lots of options. And you'll just kind of find what feels right for you. And if there's any kind of big extreme sensations that you kind of won't be able to relax because you're feeling them, I would suggest kind of altering the position. So it could be if the arms are too high, sometimes we get that. If you move them down, you can kind of feel more of a sense of ease. And I just love to think about how, the yogis who have practiced for maybe lots of years, and this is a huge generalization, but we're not looking for a lot of strain, right? A lot of big sensations. We kind of want to titrate our practice in a way where there's always the capacity for like a generous breath. And so see if that's possible here. And just let yourself start to connect to the breath and settle through perhaps settle, right? Sometimes that's available, sometimes it's not. So you can just start to follow the rise and fall of the breath. And you can experience the fullness of the inhale and the completeness of the exhale. And feel the earth below. And one of the skills of, I think, living living this life, right, is knowing our resources, knowing what we can draw upon when things feel maybe like we're overextended, or what we're holding is too much, right? And it sounds simple, but the resource of just kind of feeling the earth underneath us and placing ourselves in time and space. So understanding that we are in this long line of life living. And perhaps for a moment we can hold that perspective and allow the urgency that we often feel to just soften a little. Any parts of the body, right, that might be holding, maybe it's in the shoulders, maybe it's in the neck, any parts of the body that might be holding, you just give it time, give it space. Give it time, give it space, so we can put aside our kind of the way that we are managing, the way we're managing and fixing, figuring out all the time. And just move into that space of trust a little bit more. And then we'll take the feet to the ground if they're not there already. We'll take the fingertips to the back of the head and lift the head. Look through the knees and just feel the front body engage a bit here. And then we'll come off the block with the front body engaged. So however that looks for you. And use the hands or not use the hands. And then we're going to come laying flat on the ground. So letting the spine kind of relax after what could potentially be quite a big first pose, right? So just letting the breath rise and fall, letting the whole back body, letting the mind connect to the sensations of the back body, like in the contact, the connection with the earth below. And then let's go ahead and draw the knees into the chest, and we'll give a hug and a rock side to side. This be perhaps a little massage of the back body. And then let's rock over onto a side, and we'll come up onto all fours. And once you come to all fours, we'll find a little bit of cat-cow, arching and extending the spine and seeing what it's like to kind of marry those movements to the breath. So you can have this kind of the inhale, reaching the heart forward, and then the exhale, this kind of rounding in. And then let's take the knees wide and we'll set the hips back. Keep the hands planted so the arms are extended overhead, and you might even kind of spread the fingers gently, kind of feel the fingertips gripping ever so slightly the earth below, and then you can bring forehead to the ground. So the arms long overhead, right? The arms are these limbs that we kind of use to extend ourselves out into the world, right? They're like the limbs of this kind of giving and receiving. And they have physical and also energetic roots right down into the heart space, right? So let that energy kind of build by kind of feeling the whole circumference of the palm on the ground. And then let's look forward, and we'll slide forward onto the elbows. So the elbows will be underneath the shoulders. And the hips come to the ground. And you can feel the legs kind of long back behind. And let the head and the chest kind of sink down a little bit, kind of held by the architecture of the arms. So the arms, the elbows underneath the shoulders, kind of hold you here. And then as you inhale, just nice and easy, see what it's like to lift the head, lift the chest. And as you exhale, kind of soften back down. So you get just this kind of, it's a small movement. It's not a big movement, but all kinds of muscles, and kind of we can play with kind of the orientation of the spine here. So kind of looking for parts of the spine that feel like we can introduce or invite kind of a little bit of rolling motion. Next time you lift, stay lifted, and now hug the elbows back, the heart gently forward, and ground the pelvis. Press a little gently through the feet so there's a little bit of leg engagement. The tailbone we want reaching kind of towards the heels so we can keep the low back longish. And then we'll go ahead and release. And again, if there's any props, you might just kind of slide them a little bit out of the way here, because we'll take the hands out to the side here and let the palms be on the ground. You're just going to push into one hand and see how you can kind of roll the forehead away from the hand that you're pushing into. And then you'll push into the other hand and see how you can kind of roll the forehead away. And then you could stay here, kind of just this little roll side to side, and let it gently kind of travel through the body. Let the massage of the front of the body on the earth kind of happen here. And if you want to kind of take this a little bit further, when you push into, let's say, the right hand, you can pick up the right foot and kind of reach it back behind. And then you can come right over to the other side. So this is this kind of massage across the ground with a little leg lift and reach. Come back to center and take the forehead onto the top of the hands and let yourself rest. We'll pick up the head and take maybe the left cheek. You could actually go either side, right or left cheek to the hands, and see if you can kind of relax the shoulders, relax the neck here if that feels safe. And this can be quite an intense neck stretch depending on how you're feeling. So take care. And we'll take the forehead back to the hands and pause there in center. Giving it time, giving it space. And then we'll come to the other side. So if you're with me, that would be the right cheek. And just see how much you can relax the shoulders. And then let's go ahead and find the forehead back to the hands. We'll draw the hands maybe under the shoulders or next to the ribs. And we'll press up onto all fours, and we'll go ahead and grab the chair from here. So you can take the chair onto the mat just right in front of you here, and we'll come kneeling. So if it's uncomfortable for the knees to be on the mat, you can grab a blanket and put a blanket under the knees, and that can add quite a bit of comfort. And then we will take the hands to the chair and walk the knees back so you're coming almost like a downward facing dog. So the arms are stretched overhead and the hips can reach back. Maybe the hips are more or less over the knees, and they could be maybe a little bit back behind. And you'll try to kind of sink the heart. So you're going to really hold on to the chair and lengthen the arms. And this might be plenty. You might kind of just stay here and explore. If you would like to give a little pulse, you'll kind of sink the heart down, the head down, and then lift back up. It's almost like a cat-cow, but you're kind of focused in the chest. And then you can adjust the hands, adjust the knees. We'll walk back forward and just set the chair to the side. And we'll just come laying right down onto our backs. So again, let there be kind of space around you. And I would invite you for today to lie flat in Shavasana, unless a prop would really make you feel much more comfortable and able to relax. See if you can lie just flat on the ground. I really believe that if we give ourselves the opportunity, even maybe a few times a day, to allow the spine to kind of decompress and the shoulders to relax and the pelvis to relax, and a flat on the ground, that there's just kind of great therapeutics that have far-reaching kind of effects. So, but sometimes it just is, there's something nagging, right? And we can't relax, and then we want to support that. So it could be like a blanket under the head, or sometimes a roll under the knees. Sometimes eye pillow or blanket over the top of the body. But for today, if you can go just kind of, we'll call it au natural, no props, right? So that you can kind of really sense the effects of practice, the effects of moving the tissues of the body and breathing. And if we can spend time, right, space and time, giving it space and time, if we start to recognize how practice shifts things for us, that becomes a really powerful kind of learning or knowing. So we just did kind of a back bending practice. And back bends are known for kind of creating an expansive feeling. We can get caught in these kind of really heavy, right? The apanavayu. We can get caught in this downward moving force. And if we get real caught, can lend towards like depression, lethargy. And so we have to find this kind of balance between the apana and the prana movements of the energetics in the system. And so practicing sometimes, right, this kind of more expansive, these poses that help us feel a little bit more like we're kind of moving out into space as opposed to moving into center or grounding. And I say all of that just so you can kind of witness in yourself. And then we'll take a deeper breath. Give a stretch through the body. Roll over to a side. And then we'll use the hands to come up to a seated position. And we can bring one hand on top of the other to the heart space and kind of affirm in yoga there's this image of the jewel, right? There's like these jewels inside. And I love that, right? Innate in us, these kind of glittering, shiny, special things, right? And our job is to kind of come to a place, a softer place, a more tender place, a more delicate place, so that we can really see these jewels that are inside. And we can know them. And then we'll bring palms together at heart center, bowing head towards heart. Om Shanti, Om Peace. Namaste.